Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be talking about how the Great House passes domestic terrorism bill, and what could be done to go against it, or rather, what is really in it. Because I'm not thinking this is going to be a necessarily good bill, because it's not going to be pertaining to them. All right, let's get right into it. House passes domestic terrorism bill focused on white supremacists and neo-Nazis. I'm going to say this. I have seen very, very little white supremacists, especially neo-Nazis. And they're going to have to clarify exactly what are white supremacists and what are neo-Nazis, especially neo-Nazis, because I don't know very many neo-Nazis in this country, if anyone is proclaiming to be one. So I don't see how this bill even remotely works, and the terrorism is honestly coming from the far left. So, I mean, House Republicans opposed the bill because it did not include the prevention of far left domestic terrorism. Yeah, that's true, because it did. If that is true, it did not actually include the police of far left domestic terrorism. It's a problem. Congress voted to increase federal resources earmarked for the prevention of domestic terrorism. The policy includes the creation of a task force involving multiple federal agencies to end the alleged infiltration of uniformed services and law enforcement agencies by white supremacists and neo-Nazis. Okay. The vote comes after racially motivated shootings in New York and California over the weekend. The Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act of 2022 established new requirements to expand the availability of information on domestic terrorism, as well as the relationship between domestic terrorism and hate crimes. Okay. The thing is, the FBI had this information beforehand, which I still need to make that video, by the way, because I need to get it back up. But they still need to they need to actually act on the information that they got, that they have, right? Because the FBI knew about the Buffalo shooting at the very least, and they did nothing about it. So, I mean, it doesn't matter whether or not they have the information or not. If they don't act on the information that they get, then it means nothing. So, I mean, this is entirely the FBI and folks on this. They have failed time and time again about these school shootings. They have done actively nothing. So I would say the FBI needs to be completely wiped, and then, completely wiped, and then have people actually in there that will make good use of the FBI instead of being useless. If made law, the bill would grant the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation the right to monitor, analyze, investigate, and prosecute domestic terrorism. Okay? The agencies would release joint reports about the state of domestic terrorism. The bill, House Resolution 350, names explicitly white supremacists, related incidents, and intended incidents as a focus of the report. Okay, again, but how many white supremacists are actually going on? I see what they're trying to do. It seems like they're trying to find some way to where they can make like the people want to vote for them for the upcoming elections or whatever that's coming up, like in a few months. But I don't see how this is going to work, because again, you're not going to make it to where there's white supremacists running around. Like, that's one white supremacist in that, I say, like, in how many years? So, I don't see how this is gonna directly do anything. This sounds like a nothing burger bill, unless you're actively, as the Republicans have said, also going after the far left, domestic terrorism that's been happening. So, there you go. And also, again, the FBI has to get their ass in gear and actually do something. According to the proposed policy, no later than 180 days after the date of enactment of this act, and each 6 months thereafter for the 10-year period beginning on the date of enactment of this act, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Attorney General, and the Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation shall submit a joint report authored by the Domestic Terrorism Offices to the Committee on the Judiciary, the Committee on the Homeland Security and Government Affairs, and the Select Committee on Intelligence of the Senate, and the Committee on the Judiciary, the Committee on Homeland Security, and Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence of the House of Representatives. And again, they're going to get all this type of stuff in because it's mostly Democratic held for right now. So we'll see. Maybe it'll still be Democratic held after the elections, but God, I hope not, because this is going to be a nightmare if it is. The DHS, DOJ, and the FBI would need to review the anti-terrorism training and resource programs they offer to federal, state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies in understanding, detecting, deterring, and investigating acts of domestic terrorism and white supremacist and neo-Nazi infiltration of law enforcement and corrections agencies. The DOJ will also be required to provide additional training to prosecutors and assistant U.S. attorneys so they are aware of the ways domestic terrorism can be prosecuted. Again, I agree, but like I said, the FBI knew, all right? So I don't see how this is going to be work. And why are you saying white supremacists? Should it just be just domestic terrorism in general instead of white supremacists? Should it just be domestic terrorism in general, not white supremacists or neo-Nazi? Just domestic terrorism. And that's what the bill should mostly be for, not just white supremacists. If they happen to be a white supremacist and they end up doing domestic terrorism, okay, then yeah, under the domestic terrorism bill that you would have created, that would also fall in line. They would fall in line to the same bill. What? So why only one specific group of people? HR 350 was introduced by Illinois Representative Brad Schneider and passed following a 222 to 203 vote. Illinois Representative Adam Kerner, a member of the House Representative January 6 Select Committee, was the only Republican who voted in favor of the bill. Schneider originally introduced the bill in January. We in Congress can't stop the likes of Tucker Carlson from spewing hateful, dangerous placement theory ideology across the airways. Congress has been able to ban the sale of assault weapons, Schneider told Congress. That's because, one, there isn't really assault weapons, and two, it would be a direct violation of the Second Amendment. So no, of course not. And there, again, you can't have assault weapons in the hands of the public. As of currently, you cannot. It is considered illegal. So you cannot have assault weapons, if you want to call them that. They're fully automatic weapons, and you cannot have fully automatic weapons. Can you get military grade weapons? Yes, but they can only be semi-automatic. They cannot be fully automatic. Okay? And the gun that he used, the AR-15, could be committed with the same amount of damage as the pistol. So I don't know what you talk about. Again, Republican members of Congress objected to the narrow scope of the bill's focus, arguing that it does nothing to prevent domestic terrorism committed by the far left. Yeah. This bill glowing ignores a persistent domestic terrorism threat from the radical left in this country and instead makes the assumption that it's all on the white and the right, argued California Representative Darrell CBS News. Texas Representative Chip Roy expressed concern that the bill's purpose was the empowerment of the federal bureaucracy to target Americans. That's also a possible way as well. This is nothing more than empowering the federal government to police thought and speech in the United States of America, and we should oppose it roundly, he said during the debate. Minority Whip Louisiana Representative Steve Scalise added that the resolution would create unnecessary and duplicative domestic terrorism offices. The weekend preceding the bill's reintroduction in Congress was marked by two planned mass shootings carried out by gunmen motivated by an ethnocentric ideology. Okay, yeah. Possibly. I don't know about the other two mass shootings. I know the one that's been very obvious that it was, but I don't know about the other one that was specifically in California. I don't know about that one, but I do know the Buffalo one was. So that is true. However, there was ways to prevent it, and the FBI knew if they actually did their actual job, but I digress. They didn't do their job, so this is what happened. On May 14th, 18-year-old Peyton Grant killed 11 people during a shooting at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York, in a majority black neighborhood, streaming the attack on Twitch. The Justice Department is investigating this matter as a hate crime and an act of racially motivated violent extremism, Attorney General Magic Garland said in a press release. The Justice Department is committed to conducting a thorough and expeditious investigation into this shooting and to seeking justice for these innocent victims. Gendron published a 100-page manifesto where he identified as a white supremacist and said he was acting alone and not part of a political group or organization. The shooter was indicted on a first-degree murder charge by a grand jury in New York on May 19th. The following day, May 15th, a 60-year-old man from Las Vegas traveled to California and opened fire on the Irvine Taiwanese Presbyterian Church. David Cho, the gunman, is investigated by the FBI on hate crime charges and is being held on a $1 million bail. At a press conference, Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer said Cho's family was taken by force from mainland China to Taiwan after 1948. The Presbyterian Church was celebrating the return of a pastor from a mission trip to Taiwan on the day of the shooting. Spitzer said Cho's plan to execute in cold blood as many people in that room as possible. He had the ammunition to do it. The Attorney General said he had the weaponry to do it. He had the training to do it. The government allegedly mailed 7 volumes of handwritten notes to launch into the office of a Chinese language newspaper prior to the shooting. Reports the East Bay Times. Cho is facing 10 charges, including first-degree murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, and 4 counts of possessing destructive devices with the intent to kill or harm. His arraignment has been delayed until June 10th. Okay. Well, here you have it. That's all the information that we have. But yeah, again, the bill should be just domestic terrorism in general, not really focused on white supremacists on neo-Nazis. It should be focused on just domestic terrorism in general. That's what it should be focused on, and actually, fix things. Again, the far left have been causing a lot of damage, a lot of issues that in the country. Like, you cannot be having these Antifa people or anti-abortionist people going out and setting throwing Molotovs, setting fires and stuff, destroying buildings, and all that, and not have them charged. All right. So again, I'm against this only because it's not focusing also the left. I am agreeable to everything else. However, again, the FBI has to get their ass in the gear to actually make this bill meaningful, for one, and two, it should be focusing on everybody of every kind of domestic terrorism, not just one from the Pacific side. So we'll see how this goes and what they start to do, and see where this bill is going to actually take us. Hopefully it takes us in the right direction, but knowing the Biden administration and the far left is probably not going to take us in the right direction at all. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.